she's not going to join now.
Okay. Hang on, why don't you just share? The two of you share a screen.
There you go.
Hold on. Patty, would you like to come in and join with the screen? The guys are saying here, so.
We can't have a disconnected Kylie in this circle, you know?
No.
if she's in the next room, like.
Hold on a sec. I have to get me earpod holder so I can put the.
You're becoming a doddery old man, Kieran.
Morning.
Hey, Kylie.
Hey, Kylie.
Hello, sweetheart.
I have to take my.
Do you want to hear?
Yeah.
Keep it upside down, Kieran, and then you'll definitely be in the fourth dimension.
He's giving us a different perspective today.
No.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Kylie. So lovely to meet you.
Rob. Nice to meet you. Kind of.
Yes, brilliant. Okay, so we are all here and smiling, which is great to see, and the sun is out, so I think there's good energy today. So you're all very welcome. This is a very special day because it's the 2nd anniversary of Thank You Plant Medicine. I got involved last year and I shared my story, and when I heard they were doing it again this year and they were encouraging people from all over the world to host sharing circles, I felt called to do so. So for anybody that we're all familiar, I think if we've all kind of read up on the website, but for anybody that's going to be maybe watching this video, the mission of this Thank You Plant Medicine Day weekend, I should say, is to raise awareness and end the stigma of psychoactive plant medicines and psychedelics, and to promote their responsible use and integration into mainstream society. So yeah, they've called on us today to come out and share our stories of healing and transformation. And, you know, when I shared my story last year, as scary as that was, the end result was just pure liberation. So I hope today that if, you know, I'm sure we're all feeling a little bit anxious about doing this, but, you know, I hope today you feel comfortable and this is a safe place to do so. So, shall we, let's do a little grounded kind of meditation, and I want to share a little prayer with you before we, just to open up the space. So I invite you to all kind of get comfortable. Allow yourself to gently find stillness, a place of calm where you can breathe in peace, and slowly close your eyes. Take a few long, deep, slow breaths. As we welcome in the energy of our ancestors, our guides, those that have come before us, let us ground into this space. Allow us to get into our body, out of our heads, and into our hearts. Plants can be a powerful form of healing for uncertain times. Their roots mean they are quite literally grounded into the earth, and turning them to medicine puts us in touch with systems far outside ourselves. Plants remind us we are always part of something bigger, a fact that is not uncertain. And I wish today to create a safe space for us all, with no judgment, allowing you to feel safe and free to acknowledge and honor the plants, your experience, the knowledge, the wisdom, the healing, the transformation, and that divine nature that's in us all. I want to acknowledge each one of you here today. You know, it takes a lot of courage to take part in a plant medicine ceremony or do psychedelics, but to actually do what you're doing today could be equally as courageous. So I think it's very brave and important what you're doing. And, you know, I want to also acknowledge those who are not here today. I know I didn't give a lot of time, and some people did want to be in the space today, but couldn't make the time. And equally acknowledge those who don't feel like speaking either today on this call or, you know, some people I've asked, and I totally respect them not wanting to, not wanting to, you know, be here or share, because it's a very personal thing, and it's not for everybody. And so I also want to acknowledge the mental health crisis that is happening all over the world, enhanced by COVID, with so many people experiencing anxiety, depression, fear, isolation, and the uncertainty of the future. And I'll close this meditation with an abundance prayer. Divine Beloved, allow us all to give with complete ease and abundance, knowing you are the unlimited source of all. Let us be an easy, open conduit for your prosperity. Let us trust that all our needs are met in amazing ways, and it is safe to give freely as our hearts guide us. And equally, please change us into someone who can feel wildly open to receiving. Let us know our own value, worthiness, and beauty without question. Let us allow others the supreme pleasure of giving to us. Let us feel worthy to receive in every way. And let us extend kindness to those in need, feeling compassion and understanding in even the hardest situations. Change us into one who can fully love, forgive, and accept ourselves, so we may carry your light without restriction. We are utterly your own. You are me, I am you, we are one, all is well. So when you're ready, I'll invite you to come back into the space. Aidan's going to be our moderator today. Thank you, Aidan. And why don't we do, no, we already kind of briefly just had a quick introduction there, but why don't we do another brief introduction? Say your name, where are you, where you come from, how you're feeling right now, and why you're here. So I guess I'll go first, and then I'll kind of nominate somebody to go next. So I'm Rob. I'm from Dublin, living in Wicklow now, and I'm here obviously to hold and create a safe space to facilitate this story sharing circle around the destigmatization of plant medicine and psychedelics. And I guess I'm feeling quite excited the day that's in it and having the opportunity to host a circle like this, but I'm also nervous at the same time as well. Not necessarily about sharing my story, but hosting a circle. This is actually my first time. So there you go. Aideen, would you like to introduce?
Hey everybody, I'm Aideen, and I'm currently living in Dún Laoghaire. I'm from Wicklow, so I love that Kylie and Mark and Rob have their roots there, so I can still kind of feel it. Definitely, like what Maria said, definitely going to be going back that way, or some way away from Dún Laoghaire soon. But when Rob kind of opened this up to me, I don't know, about a week or two ago, I was like, oh yeah, amazing, you know, I love sharing. And as the time went on, I was like, oh, all these different emotions, like, oh, you know, right. But ultimately there was a huge part of me was like, nah, just commit, just do it, just see what happens. So I'm feeling like I've got so many things that how am I going to channel it, but I know when I speak in a few minutes, something will come out and it will be channeled in the way that I need to speak. So I don't know, let's see what happens. So thank you for being here, and I'm so happy to be a part of this. So thank you, Rob, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Aideen. Can't hear you, Aideen. You muted yourself.
Claire, can I ask you? I have to ask people to unmute themselves. I can't do it for you. So
There we go.
Okay.
I had my eyes closed. I didn't see that. Hello. Thank you, Aideen. Beautiful, heartfelt words, and I resonated with every drop of that. It's very much how I'm feeling today and how I have been feeling since this idea came up through Rob, as you say, about a week ago for me. My gut absolutely said, yes, do this. This is right. I'm doing some coaching work with Rob at the moment for the past couple of weeks, which has been incredible. And the word that has been resonating has been connection, symbiosis and connection, that feeling of just rippling out whatever your core feelings are and excitements and curiosities, as you say, Rob, and not blocking down from fear ever at all, you know. So yeah, this is big. It is transformative work for the world, I really believe, and it's vital that we step into our power and be proud of who we are. And thank you all for being here. And I will very much be speaking in flow. I haven't a clue what's going to come out, so here we go.
Thank you, Claire. So lovely. Would you like to nominate somebody to just share?
I would like to nominate Kylie.
Hello. Hi, Claire. You look amazing.
Oh God,
it's so nice
too.
to see you. It's been a while. Thank you very much for inviting me into this circle. I had no idea about any of this. So it's a bit of a surprise. So I have no idea what I'm going to say. But I'm very grateful for all of this. This whole journey only started for me like 6-7 months ago. And I've been going through a huge transformation. I'm originally from Greystones, County Wicklow. I've spent the last 11 years living in Sydney. And I came home 1 week before lockdown, and it has been a very testing year. I've recently just lost my mum. Yeah, I lost her a couple of weeks after our circle, Claire. But thank you so much, because that was a very, very healing circle for me. And just this whole journey, the transformations that I've seen in the beautiful people around me has been incredible. And it's the connection, like you say, it's so beautiful to be a part of something so huge, and to know that there's so much more to this world. And yeah, I'm extremely grateful. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Aideen, because you have been absolutely incredible. And yeah, just thank you.
Kylie, who are you going to nominate?
I'll nominate Mark.
Mark, you might have to. Oh, there you go.
I got it. Thanks, Kylie. Thanks for throwing me in the mix there. Thanks everyone else for sharing, Claire, Aideen, Rob. And thanks everyone else for being here, and always being there, you know. I am from Wicklow, like a few people here. Sacred ground down here, super connecting ancient land, you know, full of all its landmarks and stuff. Yeah, I had that thing about, you know, I went through the process in my mind about speaking about this stuff today. Yeah, I don't care what people think anymore. That was part of my problem that I brought into this experience. You know, I had to let go of certain elements of myself that were holding me back, and perceptions about the world and what people think, and who I thought I was in that reality. You know, I wasn't necessarily living my truth, or I was denying my truth, and it was just part of my general struggle in life. I embarked upon medicine, various plant medicines, last year. I had a calling and a want and a desire to explore them a long time ago. I'm glad I waited till I did, because I had a respect for it. I may have went into it with different intentions in the past. Ultimately, I went into plant medicine with a very, very clear mind and a full heart, and life was good. I didn't really need to seek, one would think, and I thought I was probably at the end of some sort of journey, and taking plant medicine was some way to celebrate that, but it turned out it was just the start of a whole new journey, and it stripped me back down to my very core, and it's been a rough one in many ways, but I'm really, really feeling alive at the moment, and I'm really coming into a new, better version of myself, and it's new to me, and I'm just observing it, you know. I'm just letting it all happen. I use these plant medicines not only, you know, for spiritual purposes, but I just find that it offers me a mental cleanse and a perception kind of enhancer, and gives me great clarity and focus within. So it serves me very well in many ways. And yeah, I'll leave it there. I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops, and plenty more of this, I reckon. So fair play to you guys, and fair play to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And just to let you know, this is we're just teasing out just the energy here at the moment. We all are going to, well, if you feel comfortable, to expand upon our kind of just shared just there. Maria, I believe do you want to make a kind of brief introduction and let us know how you're feeling?
Yeah. So my name's Maria, and I grew up in Kildare, living in Dublin, and Rob asked me to join this call a couple of days ago, and when I saw it, it was a kind of an immediate yes. Sorry, I think my internet is unstable, is it?
No, you're good.
Connection, okay, good. Okay, so you know when you get the little notification. So it was an immediate yes when you asked me, Rob. But it was kind of like, it's like, you know, I'm on this path now where I no longer, again, I resonate with, you know, with what Mark is saying, is that I just no longer care what people think. And it's more important to me now to assist in whatever way for humanity, and big or small. And you know, I've letting go of a lot of the thing of like, oh, what if my story isn't that great or not enough or whatever. It's just like, no, put all of your lower form ego aside and just be here now. And it's like, I just, if I feel a call or a resonance towards it, I'm just like, yep. That doesn't mean to say though that I'm not like, you know, before this call I'm like, oh, what am I going to say, like, you know. Because obviously with plant medicines, you know, it's very personal. It has to be personal, you know, it's stripping away everything. It's going right at the core. So, but that's the beautiful thing about it. And I think, you know, for me with this circle, it's like, this is a beautiful way. Somebody mentioned connection and community, and this is exactly what everyone really needs to have now. And I hope that, you know, even one person, you know, like watching or listening to this, gets inspired in some way, you know, whether that be just to form a connection with themselves or the community value of the plant medicines, which it's just, I am like so amazed at how the plant medicines have brought amazing people into my life, like a network, you know, and I lean on that network for support all the time now, and I'm just so grateful. I literally just think, oh my God, like, thank you, you know. So if that can, you know, if anything can ripple off this conversation and help one person, you know, that's just amazing at the moment. So I'll leave it there. That's why I'm here. Don't know what I'm going to say, but I feel like with what the girls are saying as well, I just feel like it'll just naturally come out, whatever needs to be said. So thank you, Rob, for hosting this circle.
Thank you, Maria. And yeah, you know, it is a ripple. We are making a contribution. It might be big, it might be small, it might be just individual, but collectively we have a stronger voice doing something like this together. And yeah, I'm completely resonate with everybody, with what everybody's kind of shared so far. So I'm not sure, did anybody else want to kind of just say anything before we kind of get stuck in, or are we happy to go ahead?
I'll just say hello, Rob, because I haven't said hello, so I suppose yeah, thanks, Rob. Kieran's my name, everybody. From the posh part of Finglas. Currently based in Wicklow today, and absolutely love Wicklow and my friends and my new friends that I have in my company. And for me, this was an interesting couple of days also, because when Aideen also had told me this about this link, Rob, about sharing about plant medicine, I'm kind of caught in between two worlds at the moment with it, because of kind of doing stuff to help with addiction with others. And I was a bit unsure about this whole process, but just during the week, a friend that I actually do a little bit of stuff with around addiction, would you believe the word ayahuasca came up in our conversation, and he asked me how I experienced it. And in that moment, my answer was yes. So that opened up like me to be honest and open with this chap. And I feel also, because this is what I'm feeling into at the moment, there's a big piece of me that doesn't speak up enough about this medicine. And that's probably because of the two worlds that I'm in, you see. But I know my heart is telling me to speak up about it. So that's probably where I'm at the moment. So I'm just going to let this also kind of just go naturally and flow out and see what way the words come out. So it's just nice to be here and to experience what's going on at the moment. So thank you.
Beautiful. I love the rawness of everything here. Because that's what it really is. So I guess it's just gone 11:36, so we have until 12:30. But we don't have to be strict on it, but I know that we all do have our plans for today. So if there's 6 or 7 of us, I don't want to be timekeeping, but let's just say feel free to share between 5 and 10 minutes. Just go with your flow. There's no pressure. If it is, let's say, if it goes over the 10-minute mark, I might just play my little kalimba, or I can't remember what you call it. What do I call this, Aidan? Just to softly remind you that we have time constraints. Okay, guys, I'm going to just put it out there rather than nominating somebody, but we will keep that format. So whoever goes first can then nominate the next person. But is there anybody out there that is eager to start or is comfortable starting?
Rob, I think I'll give it a go if that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. While we're here. Yeah, so I experienced plant medicine for the first time last year. I had an understanding of what plant medicine was for a long time, and I felt a connection to it and an understanding of what it may be from very early on in my life. Like I was very aware of it and interested in it quite early in my probably teenage years and stuff, and it was something I always felt I would do and wanted to do. So I was immediately drawn to the concept and the idea, and I had an understanding of what the experience would be, and I had the experience, you know, and it was exactly what I thought it would be. That was fantastic for me. It proved me right in my intuition. So I came from a history of drug and alcohol use and the party years and stuff like that, and I got a bit caught up in it all in the end. So thankfully I had experienced some recovery from all that in my life, and really got my head together and my heart clean, and got honest and got straight and got good things happening in my life. So I went into the experience not really seeking too much. I feel if I went into medicine in earlier years, I would have had a lot more baggage and a lot more to ask from the medicine. And I do believe that would have been there to resolve the things that I needed to. But what I'm ultimately what I'm trying to say is I was pretty together when I went in to do it, and in many ways I probably had no place doing it, some would say. But what attracted me to it was I had experienced a level of surrender in my recovery process from my problems with addiction and stuff. And surrender really worked out for me in life. And I'm interested in the path of surrender. And in my process of recovery, I kind of tidied my life up, and in reality, all the boxes were ticked, you know. And that's just a bit too safe for me. I have to live on the edge. So I was attracted to this surrender once more, and I knew it was available through the means of the plant medicine. Because of the fear that came with going into this the first time, especially, you know, with a clean slate and stuff, that made me want to do it even more, to be honest. Because I've learned to face fear, face what I'm shying away from, because when I don't do that in life, I recoil and I gather clutter from the not doing and the things that I should be facing in my life and in my day, you know. Ultimately, my first experience was fantastic. It was a complete surrender on my side, and I got to experience the beauty and the magic, and I experienced the God consciousness that that I knew was there. I live a very connected path in my day today, but I kind of got to say hello to a God of creation, you know, within the experience. And it's like somebody just kind of opened the door for me and showed me what it was all about, you know, a total understanding of the bits and bobs that go into how this all works somehow. The process of the medicine for me was very similar to the process of recovery. Recovery requires an acceptance, an understanding that this is God's world and not mine. Therefore, self cannot run the show. I was confronted with that egoic self very early in the experience, and it was clear to me that that's what I needed to break down. And I did it quite quickly in my first experience, and I experienced my true self. It was like I had an honest conversation in the mirror with myself in the experience, and that's where the healing really came for me. I have done a lot of psychotherapy, and I'm very interested in the process of psychotherapy in my life. And I revisited a lot of that work that I did very quickly within the experience, with no negative and no positive. Just, it's almost like I went back in time and visited the moments where things had happened, and I could check in with my intentions at those times. And that allowed me to, it made room for freedom, because all I was checking was my intentions correct in the past, you know, and did I mean for good to happen. Some things I changed in the experience from my past, and some things I left alone because that's the way they were meant to be. But I was shown that, and there was tremendous healing and freedom just from knowing that, because it feels very real in the experience. Beyond that, it was just it showed me it's just really nice to be. I developed a space for myself within the circles, and there's something about a time for you with the blessings and the experience and stuff, and just a tremendous feeling of home, and you know, a very heartfelt experience all around for me. And that was my first time. I continued to go back and back. I found more and more things to surrender to, and things that I just felt I needed more time on. And as my journeys have gone on, I'm really starting to come full circle, because it did break me down again, to my roots. And at the moment, you know, I shared earlier, I'm just starting to really feel alive at the moment, because of the work that I'm doing in the medicine. But action is required on a day-to-day basis, and the medicine just allows me to see behind the veil a bit and show me a bit more direction about living in my truth. And I work on that daily, you know, and that's part of my growth with all this. And sometimes I need to go back and get a few more answers, but that's my spiritual. Mentally, it's fantastic for me. It's such a cleanse. I immediately come out of these experiences feeling 10 years younger, way lighter. Subliminal traumas and baggage just suddenly becomes removed, and I don't even know what they are sometimes. The connection of community and love and spirit, and the fantastic people I meet along the way, who have very quickly become friends, and I'm very excited to meet all the new friends that will pick up along as the journeys go by. All of that is actually probably a bigger part of the experience for me. I've come to realize that the medicine is actually a very small part of your weekend. You know, I've been to ceremonies where I haven't linked in properly with the people around me, and it's brought my ego into it and stuff, and it's brought resistance and stuff. And they're the times I've struggled in the experience. But you know, again, they're all teachings. And I suppose lastly, just coming from an addiction background and stuff, I can see how this stuff, and I've seen how this stuff has helped with people with depression and addiction and stuff like that, because I think the experience allows you to sort of just split from the matrix for a moment and see the truth, and see yourself and see your ego, and really just gain some perspective, and gather some direction, you know. I was very lucky to get into recovery with addiction because I just had a eureka moment where myself just split and I could see what was going on finally, and even it was only just for a moment, but it was enough so that I could carry myself down a different path to get well. And I believe that experience would have happened through the medicine too. As a recovering addict and stuff as well, I feel very safe in the environment because it's a regulated, controlled environment. It's ceremonial, you know. It's not in my hands. It's in somebody else's, and it's an inclusive experience. It's not an experience where one isolates. You know, ever since I've done this stuff, I've brought more and more people in and just watched them get well. You know, and they're suffering from real issues in life. You know, so the whole process has a togetherness and a oneness about it, which is in the promise of healing and yeah, I'd encourage anyone to consider it, and I would also say if someone isn't feeling it, they're definitely not ready or wouldn't just wouldn't be there. And I think that there's something natural that happens that people find their way to this stuff, and you know, it's not widely available, and I think that's on purpose too. I think Western society would probably destroy this product if they could see its true value, you know. So I think it's sacred for a reason, and yeah, I think I'll just leave it there. And yeah, thanks so much. I hope we got something from that.
Mark, thank you so much for that was beautiful. Mark, would you like to choose who goes next?
Absolutely. Kylie Marr, what are you saying?
Thank you. Okay. Well, our journey started together, myself and Mark. We embarked on this plant medicine journey together. And I suppose I knew about plant medicine, and funnily enough, I'd actually been to South America, and something wasn't right for me then to do it. The time just wasn't right, and I just kind of pushed it aside and didn't really think any more about it. And then when I came home, I actually, funnily enough, I fell into it. I took somebody else's place, and that's where my journey began. And my very first journey, I tried not to have any expectation, and so I remember the revelation that I had in my journey. It was just this sudden realization, because I've always been really hard on myself in my life. I came from a family of addiction, and I spent my whole life trying to put this best side out to try and overcompensate for that, and it was hard. And so I ran away to Australia when I was 21, and I could just be free. And it was beautiful, and I was there for 11 years. And yeah, anyway, everything happens for a reason. I'm back now, and I literally got back a week before the lockdown started, and it's been really tough. But in that first ceremony, it came to me that it's like you have a therapy session. It's like 20 years of psychotherapy all in one night, and you're doing it all yourself. You get this aerial view of your life, and you just process everything really quickly. And it came up for me. There was a lot of forgiveness. I needed to forgive myself for leaving. I needed to forgive my parents for holding almost a resentment for what I grew up in, you know. And that forgiveness came to me, and I went to my mother, and I told her how my journey went. And basically from the very first journey, I knew that I was doing something right. And I just wanted to just sing from the rooftops and just say how beautiful that plant medicine is. It's just so freeing. And yeah, and so I told my mom about this forgiveness, and I had to forgive her. And in doing so, she went on the road to recovery, and it was really beautiful. But obviously it was all the lockdown was happening, and there was no live meetings or anything. She started to do Zoom meetings and things like that, and it was amazing. And lo and behold, a few weeks later, so she'd started the recovery and all that, and then there was a hospital appointment, and she was diagnosed with brain cancer and lung cancer and cancer in her kidneys. And unfortunately, her recovery was just too late. And so that's when my world kind of really spiraled. And I was really lucky that I had a beautiful circle, and I have beautiful people around me. And I went to a ceremony 2 days after she was diagnosed, and I cried for 2 days, and that was me. I knew that it was time to let her go, and it was a real struggle, and it was really tough. But being so connected with plant medicine and the circle, it really helped me process it all, and just see that, life is a journey, and everyone's journeys are different, and it's in God's hands, and yeah, and so that was a bit of a struggle for me. So I've held quite a bit of resistance to the plant medicine since then. There's been a little bit of fear, and I've always, I guess, I suppose, thought of myself as a very strong-minded person. I've always been, really independent and knew what I want. And then this whole year has just been, it's taken my freedom away, everything with all this COVID and everything like that. And I've really struggled, but I've been lucky enough to go into those circles and have these beautiful people around me that are able to help me through all of that. And there's a lot of healing in it, and I still have a lot more healing to do. But yeah, everyone's journey is different. But it's the sense of forgiveness that you can come to. And I suppose I didn't really think that when I embarked on this journey, I didn't know how much healing I had to do. And it's really opened my eyes, and yeah, I've had to get really truthful with myself and others around me, and I suppose I just feel a lot of, it's like almost when you just take this like bag of this heaviness is just lifted from you, and yeah, it's a really beautiful experience. And I suppose it's the connection thing as well. It's the circles, because obviously with everything going on this year, this was the perfect year for us to get into it, because there is such a lack of connection, and the world is just dividing everyone so much. And when you go into these circles and you have these beautiful people and this love, everyone just wants everyone to get well, and it's just absolutely beautiful. And as Mark said, like, if people are a bit hesitant towards going into this kind of thing, like, you'll know when the time is right, and you just need to check in with yourself and make sure that your intentions are good. And yeah, I suppose I still feel like there was a part of me that thought I was going to be able to put plant medicine down for a while, and really, when I thought my journey was just coming to an end, it's really only just beginning. Yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to the next circle. I have a lot more work that I need to do on myself, and yeah, and I'll leave it there. But thank you so much for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Kylie.
Thank you, Kylie. Thank you for the very vulnerable share. Thank you.
Thanks.
Would you like to choose who goes next, Colleen?
I'll choose Kira.
Hey, thanks. God, would you get some water there, please, guys? Thank you. Thanks, Rob. I had to have some water there after listening to Kylie sharing about her mum, to be honest with you. I felt a bit of emotion because my father passed away in October as well, you know, so we both kind of been on a little journey together. But it's very, like, we have a few minutes to put so much into a short space of time, which can be challenging and also so rewarding at the same time, because you know within your experience how much this is at the benefiting everybody around me. This is from my own experience. So like Mark, I also come from an addiction background, and I kind of had a really bad kind of drug habit, you know, and I was wanting to die basically. Didn't want to live anymore, and thank God, divine intervention, something shifted in me back in 2012, which gave me an opportunity to really go into myself and get rid of these substances and medications that I was on and addicted to, and allowed me to live in a 12-step fellowship in recovery. And funny enough, that was in 2012, and I used to have two good buddies in the fellowship, and they told me about this plant medicine back in 2015. And they said, Karen, I think this medicine would really suit you. I was like, okay. So I trusted them. Like, because that's what happens. You start building up trust with people. And I embarked on a journey down to Cork and stayed on the land and done this beautiful medicine in the yurts, like a glamping site. And when I drank the medicine, the moment I felt the effects and the vision that came with it, I just knew I wasn't doing anything bad, that it was something good. And it just changed my perspective in a heartbeat. I just felt this overwhelming sensation of oneness and deep connection. And everything that used to kind of matter just seemed to just fade away, evaporate. And it was like the whole ego just kind of just disappeared. And I was brought into this place of like just absolute love. And that was the start of my first medicine journey. And then I was able to seek out like a circle from a woman that I know, who I got to know. And I started to build up this beautiful family, this beautiful network of people. And it just kept increasing my value in life. It kept giving me these realizations that I need to go home and share this love with people. But at the time, not being able to mention the word medicine, but just really sort of seeing what kind of intention came behind it, and just to really value the people around me. And it's been my journey now for the last, my God, it'll be 6 years now. It's just got better and better and better. And like Kylie, in a little way, sometimes I feel, okay, I'm done with medicine. But then as the weeks go on, I just get a call to come back again. And I just say, okay, go back in again. And then I have so many amazing friends, like Aiden's here on there, which has just become such a dear friend. And Kylie and Mark, and obviously I met you, Rob, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know you. I really appreciate this. And I feel so blessed to have a network like this, because I remember asking the chap who facilitated the first ceremony, and I said, did people do this as a once-off, or would he keep coming back? Because I was still apprehensive about it. And he said, some people just come back for the connection with the circle, never mind the medicine. It's the people. And I can really see that in abundance now, how that fits, you know, because I've just learned so much from people, from being in their presence, and from kind of picking up all these lovely bits of wisdom along the way, and how you can direct some love towards somebody who might be struggling in a room, where the ceremony can become about one person almost in that moment, and you can just go with them on a journey And it's like, wow, but when you come out the other side, it's just like, this is what it's all about. And you really get to see how this magic formula can just increase everybody's life. So yeah, because, and I keep kind of brief as well, but that little part of me knows how much this has improved my life and other people. Is why I'd like to share it more on a bigger platform as well now. So I'm grateful for the opportunity this morning to speak up. Aho.
Wow, Kieran, thank you. I'm very glad you decided to share. Thank you. Would you like to choose who would like to go next?
Yes, my dear friend Aidan.
I intuitively knew it was coming, Kieran. Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Now it's officially 12 o'clock, and yeah. So I'm Aideen, and I actually used to have a really big problem with communicating. Really big problem. And even to this point, in this moment right here, right now, there's a little bit of right. And I have the biggest realization came to me with the fact that why I had a communicative problem was open and explored to me an ayahuasca ceremony a year ago. Exactly a year ago. It was the start of 2020, and I had this vision. I had all these things come to me a few days beforehand, and even the choice of even going to expressing the choice of even going and sitting in the circle, or choosing between doing another event or this. Even that in itself, like the communicative, the choice, what are you going to choose? Like I always felt like, I just hide, you know. And I went and I said, no, go. And I sat in a circle, and I was brought to the pinnacle of what it was that held me and had its grip on me as to why I had such an issue with communicating. And in that moment, I just went, right. And the light had shone onto that piece as to why it was that I had such an issue with communicating. And the biggest thing, like, you know, this story was that I never wanted to hurt anybody, and I always just wanted to have everybody being really happy and feeling good. And ultimately, I realized that by making a choice and by communicating my truth, I would hurt somebody. But ultimately, I realized I was hurting myself the most because I was not able to communicate properly. And that in itself then just unfolded all the blockages as for allowing me to actually properly communicate and own my voice and own my expressiveness as to, hold on, I can say no, or I can say yes, and I can, or I can't, you know. It was just the twist of the lock had just gone, you know. And in this last year, I've had so many different opportunities of communicating. And for example, I never would have communicated. Even when I came into an argument, I'd be like, you know, and that was 5 years after I did my first ceremony. And that was only one aspect of something that was unlocked and triggered for me. And I was not ready to unlock that 5 years prior to doing my other ceremonies. It was only in that moment that everything that had unfolded up until that point was allowed to go, well, here you go. This is why. Are you ready now to see it? You understand why, you know what it is. And here you go. And I've had even a few different experiences that have uncovered for me and evolved from that unlocking of understanding why it is that I wasn't able to communicate, and owning that kind of like, and I had, even for example, in work the other day, I had to communicate and I had to do a webinar, and 150 people were on the webinar that I was delivering, and I was like, whoa, I wouldn't have been able to do this if I hadn't had like figured out like and faced that, like, okay, well, shit, like I have to face this. And it gave me the, you know, fear. It didn't stand for fear everything and run away. It meant it allowed me to stand in my going, oh yeah, this is freaky, you know, but it allowed me to go face everything and rise. And every time that you tap into those challenges, it's nothing, because you ultimately go, yeah, did it. And then it just unfolds and evolves into something so much more empowering for yourself. And that's just the piece on communicative. And that is not where I was going to actually even start. And I was going to start somewhere totally different. Didn't know where I was going to start, but I was not going to start at that communicating piece. But I guess that was just one experience from a circle. And it's so prevalent because that's only been in the last year. And I know I have so much more room to grow with this communicative piece. And just knowing it doesn't matter. You don't have to have it all versed. It can just flow now, and I can be myself, and I don't have to feel like, oh, somebody's watching me or somebody's going to judge me. And that's what plant medicine allows you to understand. It allows you, it opens the channels of allowing you to flow into your real self and allow you to be completely expressive in every single way, even if it's sitting in a circle and you have to get sick, or you have to cry, or you have to laugh, or you have to jump up and dance like a lunatic. It doesn't matter. It allows you to go, do you know what? I have to let this out, or I have to feel this. And sitting in a plant medicine circle allows you to completely experience so many different emotions. And that is why we're human. Is because those emotions is what drives us in life. It's our emotions to allow us to understand what it is that's holding us back, or allowing us run forward with our passion. And it allows us tap into that. And we come from the Western world, and we come from a society, and I most certainly came from a family that was not allowed. If you had a problem with somebody, you shut up and you buried it under the carpet. And you did not express yourself, and weeks would go by that you just, like, parents wouldn't speak, or, you know, shit wouldn't be ever talked about, or it was just like, no, you deal with that. And then I was just like, whoa, you can't, this is not okay, you know. And that is the stuff that leads to manifesting of cancer tumor cells, of all this big stuff that gets stuck within our cells and within our body. And then, you know, you get to the age of 60 or 70 and you're like, oh, you've got, you know, all this stuff. And you're like, wow, because it was not encouraged for us to go, what is affecting you? How can you understand why it's affecting you? Is there a way of you releasing this? And the minute, so plant medicine allows you to give yourself the eyes so you get to feel the emotions of what it is that it feels like, but you don't become so stuck in an emotion that you can't get past it. So you go, okay, so you have like these lenses and you go, okay, what is that emotion that's actually causing you to feel this way? And then it's like you're being held to kind of go, well, no, but it's okay. Look at it. Don't be afraid of it. Look at this. What is it? And then all of a sudden you look at it and you're like, oh, and then all of a sudden it vanishes because it's gone. Then you like do a big exhale, or you do a bit of a cry, or you do a little bit of a whatever it is, and you just let it out. And then that's it. It's like, okay, that's it. And that's not going to niggle, and it's not going to restrict you from being able to conquer what it is that you need to learn in that lesson. So plant medicine allows you to really go into yourself in order to figure out how your relationships are with yourself, that's determining how you have your own relationship with the world and every single person around you. Because, you know, that's what life is about. It's about you and understanding your relationship with yourself and understanding why you have all these external things that affect you, or that they are the way they are. And then it allows you to go, okay, how am I going to deal with this? Or how does this affect me? How does that person's energy affect me? Why? Or, you know, it allows you to really just kind of tap into absolutely everything and realize, ooh, like, how is this calibrating me? How is this affecting me? And it allows you to understand the subtleties of life and the subtleties of every single aspect of everything. And it isn't just when you sit in a plant medicine circle and you realize, oh, you know, I'm going to do all my work in 4 or 5 hours in a plant medicine circle. And then if I stay for a second night, oh, there's 4 more hours, brilliant, 8 hours. No, it isn't. It allows you to face those things every single moment of your life as you flow into the next moment, and allowing you to understand how these things affect you and how you can affect other people by the way that you act and how you treat yourself and everything like that. So I had I had loads of words written out over here on my little page, and there you go. That's what I have to share. I love now communicating, and I really honor my words, and I know that whatever flows out is really going to happen in this moment. And I really am so thankful for plant medicine, and I'm so grateful to have beautiful people around me to listen and to hear me and to understand me. And I am so grateful. So thank you, every single person that's here and everybody that's impacted on my life into this moment. So thank you very much for hearing me and letting me share this story. So thank you. Aho.
Aho. Yeah, I resonate with that communication piece as well. Yeah, always lovely to hear your stories, Aideen. So Aideen, who do you nominate next?
And Maria, please.
I always know. I always know when someone's about to. I mean, the chances weren't, great there, but yeah, I always know. Okay. It was really lovely hearing all of your different stories and perspectives. Like, I just love it. I love humanity. I love being human, and this is something that I didn't enjoy for the vast majority of my life. I felt like an alien. I still do, but I felt like somebody planted me here and I shouldn't be here. I kept looking for wow, why am I here? I would just so ungrounded in my body. But I just love just to reflect firstly before I kind of share my piece. Just how, for me, formulating these kind of networks and having these kinds of conversations allows me to really be here and really be human. And, human being, I love what you said, Aideen, is just it's all of the emotion. It's all of the, I can't communicate, the nervousness, everything. It's all just human. And it's like when you're in a group ceremony or whatever, you're with others who have had these kinds of experiences, there's this freedom created for you to just be your messy human self, the screams, the tears, the and it's all accepted, it's all good, it's all part of it. So I just wanted to reflect on that first, because my journey, I feel, with plant medicine was a progressive one, and is still a progressing one, I feel. I was kind of unsure what angle I would approach this at, but I really want to speak about why I feel I was led towards plant medicines in the first place. And it also coincides with my awakening as well. As I know it does with pretty much everyone. It is an awakening experience as much as a healing experience. And in that, I feel, awakening is healing, and healing is awakening. That's it. It's shedding off parts of ourselves that actually don't belong to us, so that we can come to our true self, our true power, our true essence. So for me, I experienced as a very young child trauma, as a lot of us have. Some of us are aware of that trauma, others aren't, because it gets repressed in the psyche. For me, I experienced sexual trauma. So it was sexual abuse that had happened to me at a very, very young age. And I grew up really not okay, not in my body, not like in my essence at all. I had a lot of, I suppose, I don't, for want of a better word, like side effects from the trauma. I experienced high levels of anxiety. I had a chronic OCD, hypochondriac. My physical body wasn't okay and was getting progressively worse as I grew up. I had eating disorders where I couldn't actually swallow food because I was afraid to receive. There's so many things. I actually felt by the time I had reached 16, I was so unwell, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually unwell, that I really thought that I wouldn't survive. And I didn't want to tell my parents, because there was also, I didn't want, they were dealing with a lot of other stuff within my family. My siblings, a couple of siblings had traumas as well. One in particular was very unwell. And at that stage, I was getting to a stage where I realized, oh my God, I'm not okay. I might be dying. And I couldn't express that to them, because my brother was very much like unwell and very viscerally unwell. And so it wasn't okay for me to kind of come in and go, actually, lads, I'm not okay. So I kind of bottled it all in. And but I experienced, just to name, because these are the physical, I understand now, these are the physical manifestations of trauma, and they can develop in different ways, and they can be like cancers or whatever. But for me, it was I had a hiatal hernia, where basically my stomach was coming up through my diaphragm. Talk about bottling up. I was so repressed. I actually had scoliosis. So my spine had actually contorted. My hips had actually contorted around the trauma. And I had chronic kidney and bladder infections, all again around the region of the trauma. And I, at this point, had not made the mind-body connection. So I was lost in the trauma and no way out. It was kind of like a living hell. And I am being quite extreme here, because it is that extreme when you're in it. And I see that now, being outside of it, just how bad that was. And for me, I slowly began to put the pieces together by going, maybe there's something, there was... my auntie came over, and she did this thing called emotional freedom technique on me, and that helped me kind of sort of make that initial realization that actually what I might be experiencing may be to do with something that happened in the past. For me, my journey with plant medicines has assisted me in putting the pieces back together. It's like I was a fragmented soul, a fragmented consciousness, where that experience of that trauma had literally blown me out of myself, and I was not able to put the pieces back together. So it really coincided for me with my awakening as well. I began meditating and seeking answers, because I was so desperate. I mean, there's a certain threshold you reach where you're like, if I don't do this now, I may not be okay. So that was really my push forward, was that there was no other option. So with the meditating, I experienced quite a rapid awakening, in that I had a lot of experiences, extra sensory experiences that I'd never had before. And then the plant medicine seemed like a natural sort of coincidence with that. I started taking plant medicines myself, and then with just smaller like friends or whatever. So I didn't launch into a ceremonial style thing. I had like some really big experiences. I realize now I'm like actually very, very sensitive to plant medicines, it would seem, because a little bit goes a long way for me. I'm like, whoa. And that was the thing I struggled with, because I always felt like there's something wrong with me for my sensitivity as well. So I'd have these huge experiences where somebody else would be like, what, it's grand, but so as I progressed, I put more of me back together. I was able to realize that, okay, something really did happen. I did know to a certain extent that something had happened in my past, but I had no memory of it. I had repressed it in my subconscious so deeply that I actually had convinced myself it didn't even happen in the first place, which is actually something that happens quite often with victims of abuse, particularly children, is that they don't have the capacity within their consciousness to organize the thought or the event. So it becomes like, well, it didn't happen. And that's where these really strong emotions of guilt and shame come in, because then it becomes your fault. It's all you. There's something wrong with you. And then society and religion, I grew up in quite a religious family, it kind of impressed that. So it was just like, you are fundamentally wrong. When my whole experience was like, you are actually okay. This happened to you. So it was undoing all of the knots. But most recently, I just want to talk a little bit about, so it was progressive, and then I did a ceremony there over the summer, and I knew that I had done so much work on myself. I had healed my hiatal hernia, which they told me it was not healable. I was going to have to be operated on. I healed that through trauma release, through being able to release anger, repressed emotions. I healed my chronic kidney infections, which I had since 5, 6, every other month from 6 years old. Completely gone, don't get them anymore. And now I'm working on my spine. My spine has actually improved. They also said, you don't heal your spine is set, that's it, you're grown. It's not. I'm actually working on movements on the hips that are realigning my spine. So it's incredible, but all of this has really coincided with the medicine. And I think the biggest thing for me for putting the pieces back together in my life was to actually remember what had happened to me. And that's something I hadn't actually got to up until last summer. I knew in my body I was able to connect. Something happened, but I wasn't able to remember it. And I think that was a kind of a final piece for me in the equation to actually coming back to myself and coming back to my power, was to remember that. But I knew there was a reason why I wasn't remembering, because it must have been that bad that I didn't want to go there. So I set an intention with the medicine, and I asked, please help me to remember, but help me to be in a safe space so that I am fully protected in case, because I knew this experience is so great. I thought I'd be blown out again. And so I went to a ceremony, and I met some of the most amazing people. I felt so nervous because I knew what the weight of my intention was, to break through, recalibrate, and start again, and so during the ceremony, I was told by the medicine that you're going to go there now. Are you prepared? And I was like, oh, it felt so big. And I was like, I don't know. And it's like, you won't be alone, but you have to do this alone, because you need to go through this. It was almost like a rite of passage. So I went, and I was drawn deeper and deeper into the medicine, where I was back in my 3-year-old body, and I was back in the room of the experience. And then the whole thing played out as if I was there. And what I have to say was, I could not, and I know this, I could not have done that without that medicine. And I could not have done that without the support of the people who were there. I was so protected, so looked after. I feel emotional saying it, because the facilitators of that ceremony held me. They literally held me. And I know there were 12 other people in that ceremony, but they were there at that moment, and that was everything for me. I felt myself wanting to escape the situation again and leave my body. And I just remember one of the ladies who was facilitating, she just put her hand on my chest and said, keep going, you're doing it now, this is it. And it was like this anchor, and the medicine just pulled me through that experience. And out of the other side of it, I got a complete understanding of, and that was the thing, it's just, I just needed to see it again. I had this complete understanding of what had happened, why it had happened, because I asked the question. This beautiful thing about the medicine, if you ask, it shows you, it will show you. And I said, why? Just tell me why. And the medicine showed me what had happened, through why it had happened to me, and also the abuser, what had happened to them, and showed me this full cycle. So it was like perpetrator and victim cycle. And I was able to see the whole picture. And in that, I was able to find forgiveness. I was like, okay. And then I was able to literally stand in front of my abuser in this kind of experience and say, I forgive you. and it was completely released. It was released, and then I released it, and it went deeper and deeper into the trip. I was able to release it from my very DNA. I was brought in, and I was able to release all aspects of it and literally let it go, let the trauma go. And afterwards I received, it was like, I don't know if it's a TRE, the trauma release thing. I was able to release the trauma from my body after that point, which I was holding on to. I literally viscerally shaked, and the trauma, I mean, it was the most releasing thing. The trauma just went, left my body. And I literally felt like I was a child again, completely new. And yeah, so I had to relearn how to even eat a strawberry. It felt like I was like, the first day I was like, whoa, everything was so new. But you know, it was like I was starting again. I was given an opportunity to be free, to start again. And I'm so grateful. And out of that one ceremony as well, I have made some of the greatest connections, and these people are now working with me as well, and we're collaborating together. And it's just like, I just feel, I go back to that day and I go, oh my God, like, thank you. And the medicines, Galimba, yeah, I just want to finish on that. Like, the medicines have just, you know, changed my life, really. I can't be who I am. I couldn't have been who I am without them. So, and I would recommend them highly to anybody who is looking to really remove trauma and to really find out, you know, yeah. So thank you.
Maria, wow.
I don't know how long I was speaking there for.
It's so hard with all these beautiful shares to, you know, stop anybody in their flow, and that was just such a heartfelt share. There's no way I could interrupt you. Yeah, thank you. So we're just coming up on the halfway mark. Who do you want to? Sorry, first I just should honor that some people might have to go at this time, so that's fully fine. We'll probably go for another, I don't know, it could be 15 minutes anyway. So is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, who do you want to nominate next?
So I'll nominate Claire.
Oh God. The fear is real, guys. I'm on the brink here. I'm really teary. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, everybody. Each and every one of your shares has just gone fully to the depths and the heights, in ways that I knew in my gut what was going to happen, but it's such a challenge to step up to that. And I can't promise that I will today. But I'm here, and the first thing I want to acknowledge is that on really, really deep levels, core elements of what each one of you have spoken about is part of my story too. 18, I couldn't speak for so many years. Maria, I have experienced all sorts, and childhood was also really challenging for me. And I've felt a calling to the plants ever since childhood. I was the little one running around in the grass and picking all the daisies, and oh God, I'm going to pull myself together, bringing them into the house to save them, and knowing that I had a purpose with the plants, knowing that. And I know that now at this point in my life, more profoundly than ever. I've journeyed with a number of plant medicines, some of them native to Ireland, and I would like to acknowledge the power of the mushrooms, which we haven't really spoken about, because I feel that they are a huge untapped potential for human healing and connection, and the way the mushrooms ripple out their wisdom and knowledge across the whole globe. All of the plants do. The trees, the tree medicine isn't spoken about. Every single plant out there has full connection with every other. And they're all just dancing there for us and saying, you know, don't forget about us. The way humanity has been guided, misguided. We have, as the quote goes, almost cut the earth from under our feet. And now we have a calling and an ability to remember the wisdom of the ancients, to remember and to have our independence with that, and our ability to reach out through technology, through travel, through these circles, to not be afraid anymore, to go back to what the ancient ways were, and to, God, just give it a go, folks. You know, whatever you feel the calling to be, educate yourselves a little bit if it's something that's totally new to you, and have no fear, because this is Mama Earth literally reaching out to you to make you whole and connected again with the one love, with the one understanding. I first came to plant medicines maybe about 7 or 8 years ago on a return to home from having traveled extensively. I was born in the depths of the countryside, and my mind propelled me to the city, and my heart called me home. And I experienced healing with some mushroom journeys, which were really quite light-hearted and just walks in nature with some really close friends, and they were hugely profound, and they allowed me to know that the spirituality that I had been raised with, which was beautiful, was able to resonate with me on a personal level more than I had felt. I'd experienced a detachment from that. And I remember my father at one point being really saddened by this and saying, but what else is there out there? You know, he was actually worried. He was like, if you don't have this connection of faith, what's the hope for humanity, for the youth? You know, what is there out there? And at the time, I didn't really feel that there was anything, you know. And the plants have taught me that we are it. We are the source. We are the connection. We are seeking, and that healing is absolutely possible. We have superpowers. So I'm going to connect to why my fears were arising, and the language that was coming. We need to be so careful with language, especially nowadays. There's such a sea of it out there. You have to wade through to find the good stuff. But once you connect with the good language, you follow it like a little thread, and you find the truth. You know. Oh gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. This is really this is mad altogether. Except it's not. It's spirituality, and it's beauty, and it's truth, and it's nature. It's nature, and that brings me back. When I came home, I started immersing myself, as Wim Hof, Rob, who we love, says, in the wild nature again. And I was speaking with a lovely friend yesterday who I've done plant work with, and I was anxious, you know, and I thought maybe you could guide me a bit, or help me navigate this call. And she said, well, really, Claire, it's what you're doing in your life and your art, and you're a nature baby. You jump in the sea, you breathe air, you drink water, you plant flowers in the garden, and this is just an extension of that, which is making me think. I have reams of Terence McKenna quotes here, who I just adore, you know, and one of his is, you know, making any plant illegal is just ludicrous, because they are all God-given and God-created. And working with these plants, which I consider to be elevated consciousnesses, have freed me from other plants and other natural elements that I had addictive issues with, you know. And it's just kind of like taking it to another level. There should be absolutely no judgment, or no, I'm not going to say, or no banning. No, it's about a responsible use and an understanding that these are really, really powerful entities, powerful elements, and powerful healing modalities that can really lift the world to new levels. And we have had these connections before and we have forgotten them. This isn't new. This is ancient work, you know, and it was written about and recorded. And if you really dig deep, you can find that across the whole globe, ancient cultures have been using these plants ceremonially, respectfully, to evolve, their thinking, and to evolve their creativity, and to evolve their compassion, and to connect with wisdom that is there, you know. I could go into my own story, just in terms of how. So my very first ayahuasca journey some years ago, about 5 now, over 5. And I've done a few. I haven't become addicted to it. You know, I don't hop back every, it's literally, it calls like in a dream. Dreams guide me. Some people are afraid of the subconscious, and now I have connected on all those levels. And so my very first journey, I went in with a broken body that was in the tightest of knots. I'd been told by medicine that I wasn't fixable, that I had hip issues and back issues and chronic jaw issues, and they all came from things that I was holding on to, that I didn't know how to release, that I didn't know how to label, and that had brought me to an absolute breaking point. And there was addiction involved too, actually, to plants in some ways, which is ironic because anything can be abused, you know, apart from the really elevated plants maybe that just don't let you get that far. They protect you maybe. So I knew I had to, subconsciously I knew I had to release. And my very first ceremony brought me a 3-fold release, which was so broad spectrum that I don't know how anybody can deny the absolute magic of it. You know, you feel that there's something amiss with your body or your mind, and you go into a hospital and they say, okay, this is wrong, and they send you down that corridor to this person, and they forget about the wholeness, you know. Excuse me. But that first ceremony, I had an enormous physical release connecting the back of my jaw to the middle of my lower back. And it was so powerful. It was like a lightning release that my body actually jumped up in the chair I was sitting in. And the next day, when I got home, I realized that my chronic jaw imbalance of, at that point, over 20 years of my life, this was dating back to a car crash as a child, where I was hit by a car as a child. And that medicine had gone in and tailor-made what it was doing, which is what it does, as you all know, to target a really tight tendon connection, or whatever it was crossed over between here and away down my back, something that had never occurred to me, or the long list of specialists and doctors that I'd seen in all of those years. I actually had gone to a dentist at one point, a dentist specialist, who had, and I was just so uncomfortable, and my jaw was like this, you know, and he said, well, I could shave a bit of your chin and, you know, make it look, you know, a high-ranking dental specialist was going to take a piece of my bone off my chin so that I would feel a bit more comfortable with the way I looked, and that would help, you know. Absolute insanity. And that night on the medicine, this released, and the next day I went home and I looked in the mirror and tears just flowed because my jaw had gone from this to this. And you can imagine the knock-on effect of that over all of these years. I've got taller, I've got stronger, I've got straighter. I also had chronic anxiety that I'd been doing CBT for some time. And eating, I'd got to the point where I couldn't speak. I literally couldn't speak. I was hearing my own voice. I was watching myself having conversations with people. You have labels, they have names for all of this, you know, and I was not present at all. I was processing. I was so thin. I was processing everything 5 times over, you know, unnecessarily, and not in the moment ever, you know. And the second major thing that happened that night at the ceremony was, it's like something just came in and lifted this entity of anxiety and just went, and it was gone. And I knew in that moment, and I've known ever since, that it's just, I have a clarity. that I don't know if I would ever have gained with something that wasn't as holistic as this is, you know, that takes your whole being, your whole spirit, your whole soul, your whole everything, you know, and just tailor makes what you need from the place of utmost love and caring, you know. Or something else happened that night. I can't remember exactly what it was. Equally incredible. Oh yeah, I never smoked a cigarette again. And I didn't smoke a cigarette from the moment I took the decision to go and do that ceremony, which was 10 days previously. Somebody had, it had come up in conversation, and I'd known about it for a while, and my time obviously wasn't right. But from the moment I was asked, from the moment I made the decision to do that ceremony, and I was double booked that night, you know, there were 2 events I was supposed to be at, and I was like, oh no, I can't do that, you know. And I went outside the pub and I smoked the last cigarette I ever smoked, and I came back in and I said, yeah, I'm going to go and do that, you know. And from that moment, I didn't have one craving. I have never had one craving since. It was like the medicine had explained that, folks, you know. It had come to me and it said, okay, you've made this commitment now, you've made this decision, you want to work with yourself for the greater good, you know. That's the intention, for the greater good. And every intention that I've ever had that extends beyond yourself and your own intentions to connect for the symbiosis of all, for the, you know, evolution of all, that's where the magic really, really happens, and where you feel the power of all of those people coming in. And now I feel like I'm in flow, folks, because we have superpowers. We have superpowers beyond our wildest imaginings. And when we connect with nature in all ways, when we breathe and we get in the ocean to bring it on and home, and when we eat proper food, and when we work with the plants in their whole forms, not these synthesized, reduced copies that they pan out as being derived from plants. No, they're not. They're not. They're copies, and they're not the real thing. And I don't see why we need to belittle what we have been given. So let's just encourage people to just go back to nature, you know, and become more telepathic. And be able to heal ourselves and heal others.
Yeah.
And paint the light, Maria.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Claire. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire.
Yeah, and thank you for, you know, specifically, you know, bringing up, actually, you know, we have this medicine on our soil in Ireland, like the honoring the mushrooms, and of course the roots of this wisdom is being practiced by the ancients, and it's been lost. And I'm just so glad that we're in this lifetime, in this realm, where we're seeing it come back, and now we're making sense, a little more sense of the mystery of life. Although sometimes the mystery just gets bigger. I guess it's just me to share. Okay. So I want to speak about my relationship to, or my faith, my relationship to developing this faith that I feel I have, and sense of purpose. And I guess, you know, I shared my story last year, and I'll just kind of briefly try and bring that in just to give you context to where I'm going with this. So I think it was around 5 years ago, where I was in a really bad place. I had several debilitating conditions, physical, a bit of mental stuff going on as well. But I had a lower back injury, chronic back pain as a result of that, which prevented me from sitting down for almost 7 years, which, as you can imagine, you know, the impact that has just on your life in terms of basic living, sitting down to eat a meal, going out and socializing. I had to stop driving. And as a result of that, that led to osteoarthritis in both my ankles And that was, as I think, as a result of the standing up all the time, but also I was kind of always kind of pushing myself in endurance sports, whether it was football or jogging or adventure races. And parallel to all this, I had a condition, still have it, called hyperacusis, oversensitive hearing. And, you know, as many of you know here on this call, you know, one of my passions is being creative, and music is one of my things that I go to. And all of a sudden, this was building up over years, and then it just kind of climaxed at the same time as I couldn't jog and I couldn't sit down. I was like, what is going on here? Like, you know, and so I exhausted every avenue, well, probably not every avenue, but of like medicine, therapy. And then I heard about ayahuasca on a journey over to on the Camino. And yeah, so I think a year after that, I spent several weeks in the jungle, and that was just profoundly transforming in so many ways. You just, you know yourselves, you just can't imagine before you go in. But it wasn't necessarily the healing that I wanted, that I thought I might get. In fact, that took quite a long time. It was all up here in the mind. You know, I realized that started exploring the idea that my physical condition was somewhat psychosomatic, you know, and I couldn't wrap my head around that in terms of the idea that your thoughts can influence pain in the body, when I clearly had a physical accident and I've got the wounds to show for it. And how's my thoughts exaggerating the pain? Well, you know, that took a while to kind of like figure out. And that took me on, you know, a journey of experimentation, exploring, you know, changes. I was forced into lifestyle changes. I'm not sure if I would have chosen them. And so I guess also there was emotional trauma there that I wasn't really connecting with initially with the first couple of years with plant medicine. And then I started kind of like wrapping my head around, actually there could be emotional trauma connected with this actual physical pain. And yeah, that's still an evolving process of not necessarily trying to figure it out, just more so understanding that this is a possibility and being open-minded to surrendering into different kind of avenues of thought around that. And fast forward to 2018, my back pain significantly dropped as a result of the work I was doing with the plants and the integration of all the things that I was doing in terms of improving my lifestyle and mental health. And so as a result of this healing and the shift in mindset, I started changing my thoughts and my perspectives. I started taking more meaningful action in my life. And seeing these positive results, like, you know, in the healing that went on, a sense of purpose has emerged. And this sense of purpose is to share this knowledge, this experience in creative ways, as you've seen. And a huge part of this sense of purpose is, I guess, a willingness to be more open-minded, to get more intimate with the fear, to surrender to the unknown, and to be more comfortable with uncertainty, and just practicing being humble to this mystery of life. And yeah, so a big part of this involves letting go of the illusory ego and its plans, and letting go of controlling my future experiences and having attachments to outcomes. And I guess, I'm no shiny example of this, but I guess I'm trying to find a balance between rigidity and spontaneity, because I've spent most of my life just caught up in my head and not being present and thinking about the future, and that causing anxiety. But I notice now, as a result of the working with the plants and the relationships and the knowledge that's out there, I have the tools now to keep myself in check. And this is where, I would have given up quite a lot in the past, and didn't follow through in a lot of things. And now it's kind of like, this is where the resilient part is coming through. And I feel I'm a lot more self-confident, and I have that belief in myself that I am on what feels like a better path. And to frame all this, I came across a brilliant quote by Joseph Campbell, and that is to, you must give up the life you planned in order to have the life that is waiting for you. And I thought that really kind of resonates with how I kind of am living right now. And so the sense, this is why I like to use a sense of purpose rather than purpose, because purpose is kind of finite. And so, while much of what I'm practicing and experiencing in ceremony and out of ceremony is, the relationships that I've built, the friendships, and these have kind of reinforced my sense of truth in the experiences that I've been having. And I know this is, the concept of surrendering to the unknown and not being in control. That's so scary for many people, and people, they're stuck in their comfort zones like I was. And, I'd really ask, how comfortable is it really? And I guess to close maybe, and I feel this is something really important to ground in here, and this is obviously just my experience, but finding faith, developing that faith in yourself. And, I went from being an atheist to agnostic to, believing that there might be something godlike out there, to now a knowingness that there is this intelligent, creative, benevolent force out there working, I think, for us, essentially. Although I do believe that force wants us ultimately to be happy. And I know that might be hard for a lot of people to kind of comprehend, because there is so much pain and suffering out there. But it is this surrendering process. This is what I'm talking about. We don't need to, I guess, for me, it's accepting the mystery of not trying to understand everything, being humble towards that. And yeah, I'm just very humble to have a relationship with my faith, plant medicine, and it continues to improve all the relationships. Yeah, and I'm very grateful, obviously, for you guys and the courage and how similar all our stories are. to share today this beautiful, beautiful medicine. Yeah. Thank you.
Aho.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
My God, we're nearly at. We're
2
nearly
hours
at
later, we did it. Woo!
We did it. Could I ask maybe just before we go, just if you have another few minutes? Claire has a lovely piece, a few words, a poem to share with us.
Wow.
You may have heard it before, and I think this would be a really nice way to close out. Just before we go into that, maybe does anybody want to share any last words before we say goodbye?
Yeah, please, Rob. Yeah, now that I've got to sit and listen to all the wonderful shares, it just brings so much home. It really does. It's had to really, to hear everyone's experience, it's really had to put me into a good place this morning, to be honest with you, on top of being in a good place already. And it just it just brings you into another different place again, and it just really reassures me what we're doing here this morning, how beneficial it is, because it's something, like you said, something shifts if you just feel this spiritual healing going on, even as we're shared with the words that are used. They're so powerful. And it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. You know, I really feel blessed sitting here. As uncomfortable I am, kind of keep my legs straight on this sofa. No, I'm not in the position I'd like to be, but I've managed to just settle in. And I want to thank everybody, and it's been lovely listening to the ladies sharing their experience, and everybody. I've got so much from it, and I'm very grateful. So thank you.
Aho.
Wow. Aho. Thank you, Kieran.
Thank you.
Well, if nobody else has anything to share, we'll pass the mic over to Claire.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Rob, I was thinking you've gone from being an agnostic to a gnostic.
Nice. I like that.
Knowing that it's within. The poem was written about a year and a bit ago, coming out of a dream, just a good old nighttime dream. And I sent it to Rob shortly afterwards, and it felt like a tribal call to me immediately, and it came with a cyclical kind of a rhythm to it, and it just poured out. Not taking any credit for this. I don't know where it came from, you know. I know exactly where it came from. And I sent it to Rob shortly afterwards, and he was birthing the early stages of Soul Sync and the first part of his album, Now is the Answer. Now is the Answer. And he asked if I would consider speaking the word over music that he'd created for one of his tracks. So here is The Call is One. The earth is alive. Listen to her. She feels. See that we must be in tune with her needs, with her song, with the beat of this drum. Hear the logic within. We are made of her flesh. Will you drink of these fluids? They sink into her breast. Ask silently within for the right paths to choose. Trust that only good things will come unto you. Let the song that she sings this season be true. Light will be all for me and for you. We will rise with our voices alive and in tune. We will breathe deeper, stronger, released, renewed. We can heal every slash every painful sinew. The mountains and valleys, see and know. Let us breathe with them, each rise and fall. This life we are gifted, a lesson for all to be as one, to answer the call. As we rise, gratitude will be all. What is your dream for this earth tonight? Let us dream together of its powerful light. Every sinew and bone will heal from within. We must bathe in the moon and dance in the sun. The power we hold each deep within. It's the magic we need to start, to begin. The wisdom is old, one truth to be told. We each know well the call of this drum. Let us answer together. The call is one.
Oh, thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Claire.
So beautiful.
I'm getting all teary-eyed.
I know, so am I.
Wow, what a way to finish this call. Wow. Incredible. Thank you again all so much for your vulnerable and heartfelt shares. It's really an honor to have been able to host this together, and who knows, maybe we'll do it again sometime. And yeah, listen, I can't wait to see us all in person.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
It would be,
Thank you.
Thank you.
It'd be lovely to see us all again soon, hopefully in a real circle.